Hey, there we go.
You gonna tour bus? Hey.
What's up, Duddy?
What up?
How are you doing, man?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. I'm Jeff Gorra with
What
Artist
about like tour
Waves.
bus shape? I'm in my son's room right now because the gardeners are here, and this is the quietest spot. And he's got that like shiplap shit up.
Nice.
Jack's hilarious.
So we got three time zones covered here from West Coast and then Nashville.
Yeah.
I'm in Boston, so we're spanning some areas here. Right on. So I'll get right to it. I don't want to keep you guys too long, but I'll get right to it. Dude, I mean, congrats on the new music. I know you're floating some stuff out there. You guys have been doing stuff for a while, but it's funny because the music that outside of like work or anything, and the music that I've been gravitating towards is something that has to make me feel good. Like it has to calm me down and bring me to a certain place. So whether it's your stuff individually or what you guys got going on now, it's really nice to have music for people to bring you to that place of like serenity for a minute. So I'm curious, like, how important has that been for you guys? Are you of that mind too? Has that been going on?
Thanks. I think internally we like definitely wanted that, you know, like
Yeah,
we were, chasing for that too, you know, just like amongst ourselves,
yeah,
putting out like that kind of positivity for sure. Yeah, I mean, I think we always somewhat gravitate towards that just on our own, but
yeah.
definitely, with everything being so weird right now, we thought it would be nice for people to have something to listen to kind of take their mind off everything.
It
Yeah,
certainly
yeah,
helps.
kind of like let like Rage Against the Machine put that album out.
Yeah,
That's like
yeah,
thumbs up this year, and
yeah.
like let the angst like Nutty and I are trying to like make people vibe and feel good. You know what I'm saying? They'll do a much better job with that album. Totally, totally.
Oddly enough, they were supposed to tour for the first time in forever, so that's it's funny you say that. Um, do you guys remember? I know you've collaborated, you've known each other for a while. I know your groups and bands respectively have toured together for years. But do you remember the moment where you two individually were like, we should do something. We should write just the two of us. We should write music. We should play music. Do you remember that? Was there like some sort of moment backstage or something where you guys had the itch?
Like always. Well, I mean, yeah, I think it started even more back when it was not just me and Rome, because obviously me and Jared, we're friends. We grew up together, and we were making music and playing in bands long before we met Rome. But once we met Rome, it just kind of seemed to fit easily to where we started writing music. Me, Jared, and Rome. Rome would just come over to my house, we'd hang out in the backyard. That's how we wrote "Lay Me Down." We were just hanging out in my backyard, just barbecuing, just me, Jared, and Rome, and we wrote "Lay Me Down." It just always was such a natural situation for us. And then, as our band started growing, we were touring a lot. We toured a lot together, and we were just getting older. And our band started not touring as much because the shows. I mean, we went from playing, stupid like 250 shows a year, which is what you do when you're 20. But when you get older, we went down to like 150. So we had a lot more time off. And in that time off, me and Rome decided to kind of get together and make some music and do some little acoustic runs together. And it kind of just grew from there. Yeah, it definitely took off on its own organically, Like, I mean, every time me and Duddy are together, it's always just like, dude, when we get back home, let's get in the studio, whether we're working on, stuff Duddy's working on or stuff for Sublime or Dirty Hands or whatever. Um, like you said, it's always been like a very familiar ecosystem. Um, but yeah, like once we decided to do this though, like, um, we had our vision of what we expected this to kind of go like, and then the fans kind of really shaped it and took it and made it something even more special. They really wanted some new music, and they like it just kind of it all started to grow on its own very organically, and um, the things that we did that were like started like working,
like with putting out like that cover of and the Stone Me, like that was so different than what like a lot of other of our like peers are doing in the scene, and we're just doing our own thing, and it's a bit of a departure, but not a crazy departure, and the fans just totally loved it. They were like, dude, this is like I can play this music for my kids,
Yeah.
and it was just little bits of like things that we would hear from like people's like compliments about the show, about the music, about the art, about whatever. And we were just like, dude, is this like bigger than we think it is? Like, is this like, should we do a freaking album? And that's like, yeah, where it took.
That's awesome. I love that. So, like, you guys are obviously individually prolific songwriters in your own right. When you get together to write, or when you're writing an album, writing a song, I'm curious on the artistic, creative process. Like, do you come into a session and be like, all right, let's jam, let's see what we come up with? Or do you ever have moments where you're writing and you're like, you know what, this sounds more like something I'd work on with Rome, not so much Dirty Heads? Or this isn't a Sublime song, let's put this over here. Is that too detailed, or like how does your writing process work together?
All of
No,
it.
that yeah, I mean you're exactly right. I mean, there's times when I'll be writing a song and I'm like, this is probably good for Madonna, but I don't, you could just I mean, it happened with us multiple times writing this album where we,
Yeah.
a quarter of the way, halfway through writing a song, and we'd both be like, this is really cool, but it's not for this project.
Mhm.
Let's not throw it away, put it over here and let's finish it. But that's not for this project. That, like you said, that's more Dirty Heads, that's more Sublime, or whatnot. And it happens, but yeah, I think it happens in all ways for all
Yeah.
bands.
And like when we write, it very much varies every single time. Like I was just explaining on the last interview, like for some of these songs on the new record that we'll be dropping in, or debut record, shall I say. Um, we teamed up with some really just awesome guys who are great songwriters, and and for some of these rides, it would kind of be like the section where like okay, let's start the session. We get there, and they'd kind of have like an idea worked out already to show us, right? Um, and for I'd say the majority of the time when we go into something that was pre-written for us, it was a little bit like they were writing something for like the Dirty Heads, or maybe for Sublime with Rome or something like that. And you can't really like knock them because the project doesn't really have any music to kind of listen to like,
Yeah.
okay, I see where they're going. So they're just gonna listen to what we do, right? And then what would end up happening was we'd have to like kind of walk them down the process of like what we were listening to, what we're trying to go for, what we're trying to aim. Have you ever heard of Jimmy Buffett? Like that was like a common thing. And what we'd end up with was this amazing like amalgamation of just everyone's contribution of just something original and fresh and new, and that's kind of like the way like we like to approach this whole entire album. Really, was just kind of coming in with something that wasn't wasn't predetermined. It had to feel fresh, and I think that helped keep it in tune with the project. Didn't veer off to being like too his band or my band type of thing.
Nice. So that's where the best stuff comes from, naturally.
Totally.
So with Lahaina, so I play guitar. I'm like intermediate at best. I'll just say that. But if I wanted to learn a song, right? Like if I know you guys were like at a trip in the mountains and you heard Lahaina and it just like hit you, right? So if that happened to me,
Yeah.
I would have to look at the guitar tab. I'd have to read like where I put my finger, like what are the notes of the chorus, what's the bridge, and then I'd have to play along with the song like 50 times. I would imagine that's not at all what happens with you guys. Like, how do you learn the song? Is it all by ear of like, all right, here's my part, here's your part? How do you go about doing that and making it your own?
Well, I mean, I've been playing guitar since I was 11, so if I couldn't pick up the guitar and learn how to play something, I'd probably get a job at Safeway or something. I mean, at this
And
it's like muscle memory, you know?
Yeah, not taking away anything from the song behind that. Obviously, it's an amazing song, but it's not the most difficult song on guitar to play. It's a very basic song, you know. And you can add cool little things and mix it to make it your own and make it difficult, but the basic structure of the song is very simple.
Yeah, it's like
so
three
it's like,
chords, I think.
Yeah, it's a very very basic song, really.
I'll tell you, the hard part's the bass line. That bass line. Man, that's a crazy bass line. I remember having to work with that with Jim. You know, he was just like, "No, it's not right yet. It doesn't hit right." It was just like, it's a lot of notes, but good ear. Yeah, he's a musical genius. You know.
Yeah, he is.
When you meet with someone like Jim and you get his blessing, and then he jumps in and obviously is featured in the tune, is there something like outside of the song that you guys take from him as a musician, as a you know someone you may look up to and be like, all right, you know, I learned this from Jim, and I'm gonna keep this with me, as a songwriter, as a musician, as a person?
I think, I mean, honestly, just seeing his dedication to making sure that it was right. You know, like he wasn't gonna. We weren't leaving that studio unless it was perfect, as far as the vocals went and whatnot. You know, you can just tell he's got a lot of passion for the music, and he's really he's so into it that he wants it to sound right. He wants the vibe to be right. He wants every nuance to be perfect. And to see someone who's been in the game as long as him and still has that passion and dedication, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, he's definitely, you know, he's also like hyper intelligent too. So he knows like a lot of the stuff, like, you know, surrounding the music, like the history and the technology that goes into making it. And, you know, the guy's, you know, hyper intelligent. So, you know, just having guys like that, man, you know, it's a blessing because, you know, these guys are legends and they've been I just think that you learn something every time if you're smart. You know, you shut your mouth and stop talking. You can learn something for sure. You know,
Totally.
Awesome. So in terms of the record, I can't wait to hear the whole record. In terms of what you guys have put together creatively here, what can you say about it in terms of a mix of, you know, some originals, some covers, when they were written, what the feel of it is? I would imagine it's pretty good, feel good, high energy type of collection of tunes.
Yeah, I mean, it's 100% originals, the album that we're putting out. I'm guessing it's probably going to be around 12 songs. We'll probably end up somewhere around there. It's I guess if you would say, you know, you took some of the vibe of Sublime and a little bit of the vibe of Dirty Heads, but you kind of mashed it up with like a little more folky acoustic vibe, and that's kind of, you know, where we're aiming for with this album. And just we wanted to really write classic songs, like, you know, we really wanted these songs to just feel timeless, feel classic.
Yeah, the songwriting was at the forefront of everything because we couldn't really get together and do like the whole let's get together, write a song, record it, put a demo of it, you know, bounce it down. So we just spent the last 10 months focusing on just the writing of it, you know, getting the right lyrics, the right melodies, transitions. And, you know, like I was saying with and it stoned me, and even Lahaina, it's different, but it's not too far off from what our bands can sound like. But, you know, the Dirty Heads have a really strong foot in hip hop. You know, they're incredible rappers. And Sublime has, you know, Sublime in general just has a strong stamp in punk rock and it's rock roots. You know what I mean? And this project just has its own life to exist. Really, just with a little more simpler type of music aimed at just you know, kind of like what you were saying, just uplifting, you know, but definitely it has its own vibe, you know, that we didn't create it intentionally. It really happened on its own. that's like how the best stuff kind of comes about, you know. So it's pretty rare for me to be sitting on 12 songs that aren't produced. To be God honest with you,
Yeah.
like it's super rare for me. Um, but at the same time, you know, not like the songs are so damn good that I'm like scared of them getting produced. So it's like we have to like figure that out. But we got gold, man, and a couple of the songs are like really, really, really good to where like, you know, the people in the suits are like, damn, this is a great song, you know, like so like which that's always nice because that means that, you know, maybe people will help push it and more people can hear it. That's always the plan, right? But we got the music done and we're kind of doing it backwards. You know, we have all the songs written. Now we're gonna go get. We have like a handful of some producers that we would just die to work with, and we're gonna give them the record and just see what they think, see if they get their blessings on it, and then go, you know, get a record deal and put it out that way. But
Awesome.
focus on the music first. That's what we're doing. You know, there's no rush.
Love it. Let the music lead the way. That's where the best stuff comes from.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's funny. I really, the live shows you guys have done, the two of you together, the vibe of just like, you know, the candles and the stripped down, it just sets the mood. It's so great. I can't wait till, you know, you guys bring it over to the East Coast where I am and people can actually, you know, come out in masses to the shows again. But do you feel like this time period, this past 10 months, this quarantine or this madness, it almost helped this project in a way, for lack of a better term? Like if it was business as usual in 2020 and you guys are out on the road respectively, is it fair to say maybe this Roman Duddy record wouldn't have happened right now? I'm sure it would have eventually, but I'm just wondering how this past year actually creatively helped bring this together.
You know, you can't really say.
Yeah.
That's the thing. As much as I would love to say like part of me wants to say fuck no, fuck this year because our tour was kicking ass and we had a lot of shit set up. On the other half of that, dude, I can't look you in the eye and honestly tell you that we wouldn't have written this music like if it wasn't for this year. You know,
I feel like we probably had a little more time to really focus on it than we would have. That's for sure. You know,
like who knows if we would have taken the sessions we would have with, you know, the people we would have, like who just knows. And that's the beauty of life, man. Like you can never really go back or you should never really just like go back and be like, man, I'm just hung up on that one moment or whatever, you know? Like you gotta see the beauty and just the ebb and flow of this shit, man. Especially in music. Like if you're a musician and like, you know, like a rocky boat like fucks you up, like you're in the wrong industry. You know what I mean? Like this is it, you know, like we're very familiar with writing songs and then shit going south and those songs never coming out. And then it comes out on someone else's record or in a movie or something. Like anything's possible in this industry. But you know, I don't honestly think that, you know, I could go back and say like this year, you know, made the project better or ruined the project. I just think that it did what we needed to do, which was just keep us trucking on and you know, hats off to us for just keeping our head in the game and just keep writing, you know.
Right on. You know, it's I love hearing that because I've always been a proponent of, you know, the arts leading the way, and I think that type of attitude and that type of creativity is what I'm talking about. What are you most looking forward to? I mean, I'm sure the answer to that could be everything, but the record coming out, hitting the road in February, is there something with this project where you're like, I really can't wait for this?
I really can't wait for people to hear these songs we've written. Because I think that at first they're going to be like, whoa, this is not what I was expecting. And then I think they're going to be pleasantly surprised, though, with what they're going to get. And I can't wait to just see people's reactions because I love it. I'm so proud of this music, and I'm just very excited for it to get out.
Yeah, same with me, man. Like, I mean, we haven't even really been showing a lot of people the stuff. You know what I mean?
I've
Like,
shown
my
a
mom's
handful
been
of my
hounding
friends.
me.
Yeah.
Like my mom's been hounding me. I sent my mom everything, but she's been hounding me for these demos. Like every call, she's like, "By the way, you never sent me any of the Home Daddy stuff." I'm like, Oh yeah, but you know, it's like it, you know, we spend a lot of time on it, and like, I mean, we really do love it. It's not just like a run of the mill project, you know. It's just like let's get in, put another album out for summer. You know, it's like nah, this didn't have to exist. It just existed because we wanted it to, and then the fans made it something even more incredible. So we just you know gave it a lot more time and attention because of that. And and yeah, man, like I just can't wait for everyone to hear like what the result of all of that is. You know, like everybody, because you know, I know it's called Roman Duddy, but there's a lot that got into that whole thing. You know, to get this to where it is. There's a lot of people and you know both behind and you know in front line like the fans and stuff. So yeah, it's just that's always the payoff, bro. When you're an artist, like yeah, the tours, all that stuff, you know, that's fine. The press, you know, that's cool. But just when they can finally hear what we can say, that's the aha moment right there, my friends.
That's it. That's it. Love it. Were any of the new songs that are going to be on the record, were they demoed or did you play them live at all in some of the past shows? Any of them test driven a little bit?
I think one. I think one song we did at the last tour.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
And
well, yeah. Okay, you're right.
will you be playing them in February in the excuse me later in the month in Texas and Oklahoma? You think or?
We'll play like one or two. I'm assuming.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll play a couple. I know
we'll play a couple. Yeah, but I definitely don't want to take some of our top hitters and have the first time people hear them to be like an iPhone recording that they hear on YouTube from some shitty fucking camera or whatever. So that's what
First impressions are everything.
And especially when you know the music might not be out for 8, 9, 10 months, you know, you don't want it to float around for 9 months on a shitty recording and everyone goes, eh. So you've got to really, it's touchy.
It's tricky, but you know, you have to choose the ones that.
I think there's certain ones that are going to go across really well with just 2 acoustic guitars and us sitting down. And we think we can do it justice. But there's a few where I'm like, nah, let's not mess with that yet. You know. Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah, I didn't necessarily think about that the first time you hear it. So last thing, and then I'll let you guys go. I always kind of end with a full circle moment, kind of open form question of whatever pops in your head. No wrong answer, but I'm curious if you to think about this project to this point, this record, this new music that obviously is already having such a positive influence and effect on people, which is awesome. What does it mean to you? I know there's still a long ways to go. There's still so much exciting stuff with what the tour and the record and recording and stuff. But if you were to think about the scope of your individual paths as musicians and now this coming together, is there something you could say that it means to you in this moment?
Just like another awesome ass chapter to life, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's like you can't plan this shit, you know. If you were to go back like 20 years or like 15 years and like to when I met Duddy in the studio, it'd be like, yo, we would have like we're gonna have a #1 song on radio, you know. I'd laugh, you know. And if you say like, yo, you guys are gonna be in like, you know, an acoustic duo project together, you know, after you've been in Sublime and after you've been in a band that's toured around the world and both your bands got radio hits and all, like we just like what, you know, like yeah, right.
Another band?
No, wait, what? You know, we can do it again. People will still listen, and I don't know. Life's it's crazy like that, man. You just gotta have an open mind, and I think you gotta do things for the right reasons, you know, because that's the only way it's done.
And it shows you too, you know, it's like just because you're getting older doesn't mean you gotta lose, you know, your passion to try new things, start new projects. You never know. You know, you never know where it's gonna go.
Shout out to that.
I love that. Well said. Perfectly stated. Well, guys, this has been a blast. I really appreciate you taking the time out again to chat with me and Artist Waves. I love the new tunes. I'm really appreciative for what you guys have done here and grateful for what lies ahead with the music. Rome, it was great to speak with you again. Rome and I did an interview live at Levitate in 2019. Duddy, you and I think Jared were supposed to do one this past July at Levitate. So all roads cross through Levitate somehow. Yeah, man, I really appreciate it. Thanks for all you guys are doing here. This is awesome.
Rain check.
Right on. Thanks, fellas.
Our pleasure, man.
Appreciate it. Be good. Take care.